So we're going to welcome our Provocation, a new section, and that's been going down so well this last few days. And I'm humbled to introduce the guests to the stage. Round of applause, and it'll be led by our board member and amazing advocate of TNB, Trevor Hakim. Round of applause for Trevor Hakim. Okay. So this provocation is actually called House Negro versus the Field Negro. So please have your thoughts ready and questions, because it's about to get real. Are we ready, guys? Yeah. Fantastic. Excellent.
How you all doing? You good? No, you're too quiet. You good? Yeah. Right, amongst family, right? Yeah. Okay. As Sister Priscilla said, I'm Hakim. In the community, I'm known as Trevor Hakim. I'm one of the executives of New Black Film Collective. I'm really going to have to go through this quickly because a couple of our panelists were operating under the original time, so this was supposed to be from 12:15 to 1 o'clock. So I'm actually going to lose one of our panelists very shortly. So please, brothers, if you just come on real quick. So we have Brother Fidel. He's a creative, he's a writer. He's also, no, brother, sit here, sit down, take up these seats here, take up these seats here. He's also, he's also an educator. I've known him from working in pupil referral units where we've worked together, so he does tremendous work with our youth as well, so please give him a quick round of applause. Next to Fidel, we have Stephen Graham. Well, I can say about Stephen. Boy, Stephen, he's an independent filmmaker. He's also launched his own online, on-demand streaming channel. He makes independent documentaries that charts the history of the African presence and African origins of the Middle East, from that all the way through to gang intervention documentaries, prison life in Jamaica, gang life in Chicago. So please give our brother Stephen Graham a round of applause. And we also have Brother Rashid Nix, who's an educator. He's also a cultural consultant. He's also a political activist. This brother opened up the South East and Southwest London region for the Green Party. He took them to a level of political success that they've never seen before. Yeah, well, let's not touch on that because we don't want TNB to get sued. So the brother has done tremendous work in our community. I've also worked with a brother in education as well. So please give our brother Rashid a big round of applause. Oh, sorry, also he's made a very important documentary, Why Don't Black People Vote? So brother, maybe we can get your information on TNB and people are interested in seeing that, then we can give out that information. So please give Rashid a round of applause. I'm just going to go through the format. Are you all familiar with Question Time that comes on BBC One? Yeah? Yes? No? You have to talk to me, man. Yeah. Right, okay, good. So look, we run a series of events in the community called Community Question Time, similar type of format. Yeah? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pose some questions to the panelists, and then I'm going to pose the same questions to yourself. If you want to bring forth your answers, or if you want to bring forth another question or a statement, then feel free. We're going to have this discussion because this is a very important discussion regarding, you may be thinking House Negro versus Field Negro. But I'm here for film. I'm here for TV, I'm here for media. See, we have to ask ourselves, does this mentality exist within that field of endeavor? Are they gatekeepers that still act in this mentality? In fact, are we still in a situation where we have some people in our community that were within the film, TV and media that feel, no, you know what, I have to be within the mainstream system. But then are some of our people thinking, well, no, I have to be an independent. Does it have to be a versus or can't it be a collaboration? You with me so far? Yeah. Okay, I want to play something from the great man, just to put it in context and we can start rolling. Is that good? Yeah. All right.
I have to say this, and I'll sit down. Back during slavery, like me talked to the slave. They didn't kill him. They sent some old house Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was the old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master. Good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter, boss? We sick?" He was when the master's house caught fire, he tried to put the fire out. He didn't want his master's house burned. He never wanted his master's property threatened. And he was more defensive of it than the master was. That was a house Negro. But then you had some field Negroes who lived in a hut, had nothing to lose. They wore the worst kind of clothes, they ate the worst food, and they caught hell. They felt the sting of the lash. They hated their master. Oh, yes, they did. If the master got sick, they prayed that the master died. If the master's house caught fire, they prayed for a strong wind to come along. This was the difference between the two. And today you still have house Negroes and field Negroes.
So, we're going to jump straight into the first question. I'm going to have to give it over, if you don't mind, Stephen and Fidel, we're going to have to go over to Rashid, so, because Rashid's going to have to go soon. So when you see the brother get up and discreetly leave, he's not leaving because he's upset or he's vexed. Okay, the brother actually has to get back to school and start teaching our youth again. So you okay with that?
Yeah.
Good. Brother Rashid, have you ever experienced the house Negro mentality, or in modern terminology, gatekeepers? Go ahead.
Have I ever experienced the house Negro gatekeeper? Unfortunately, they're everywhere. They're probably, I don't want to say, they're probably sitting right here, right now amongst us. They're moving all over. And I would say the biggest obstacle that you guys will face, that we face, is you have to have your meter system working so you can smell it, you can spot it. Because nowadays things are moving really strangely. So whereas before the lines were very straight, so you knew, okay, that represents that, this represents this. We knew. Now everything is completely and utterly blurred to the point where people are suffering from all kinds of psychosis because nobody knows what they're dealing with. We know that there's some kind of opponent. You know in the movie Into the Dragon, when Bruce Lee is in the Hall of Mirrors at the end of the film and he's fighting against the guy with the hand, and the man runs out from behind the mirror and he hits Bruce and runs back behind the mirror, and Bruce sees 100 images of the same thing. Which one's real? Who's his real enemy? And then there's a quote from the monk, who's Bruce Lee's original monk in the start of the film, and he says, the enemy has only images and illusions behind which he hides his true motive. Destroy the image and you will break the enemy. So what you guys have to do is that you have to be able to spot what it is you're dealing with, because this is the maddest thing. We were discussing earlier on, I said, Jay-Z. Is Jay-Z a gatekeeper or is he a success story?
Gatekeeper. I don't know. Gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper?
Yeah.
Success story?
Success.
Right? You hear this now, right? Success story, gatekeeper. Success story because he survived where a lot of brothers didn't survive. gatekeeper because you know that he blocked DMX's career. He blocked Jay Electronica's career. He done all kinds of moves. So he's a gatekeeper about a success story. And depending on which side of the fence you're going to be batting on, you take your pick. And we're in these times. Whereas before, the gatekeepers were very, very clear who they were because you knew. You're like, okay, well, this one here, I don't trust this one. And I had to come across gatekeepers all the time, 24/7, 365. But because I come from a kind of bougie background with my family, I could kind of play a certain game, not realizing that I was a road youth from Brixton. I liked the road, that was my thing. But then, once you get through that gate, then how do you operate? And I realized I trained at the BBC, and the people who trained me at the BBC were old school BBC people, and they spotted potential in me to be a director. And they put me in contact with certain people in the BBC and said, look, this guy here, this is one to work with. He's coming from a perspective. The people who blocked me at the BBC, was it black people or was it white people?
Black people.
Black people. Gatekeepers. Why? Because I came from out the hood, had the bougie thing, but I had the hood thing at the same time, plus a degree, because I went to university, plus I had street knowledge, and they were like, hold on a sec, if this man comes in here and starts making these type of films, we're obsolete, because we're the blackface. Do you remember that? What's it called? Little Britain. Remember that little comedy show?
Yeah.
Remember the comedy show Little Britain?
Yeah.
And there was the one character, the only gay in the village.
Yeah.
Well, you have the only Negro on the firm. So whenever another black person comes up, they will do what they have to do to stop that person from getting in, because they're like, hold on a sec, I'm the black person here, I represent, and you're like, but bro, we can both eat from the same plate. I ain't come to steal your shine. I ain't come to steal your ideas. You know, I've got mad ideas, but so you realize that. So I would say, I've experienced them all the time, and it's a blessing to experience them because it makes you sharp. If you don't know about it, it's a trap. If you know about it, it's a challenge. You understand? Gatekeepers are a challenge. How do you navigate past them, around them, through them, under them, splatter them, whatever you have to do to get to what you need? That's the challenge. Is that cool, guys? Make sense? Is that all right, brother?
Round of applause for Rashid. We're going to lose you now. Thank you so much. Because I know we've hit that 1 o'clock mark, so brother, feel free when you need to. Yeah? Okay.
I'm going to stick for about 2 minutes. And
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Subject to her. Alright, so look, okay. I can slow it down now. Yeah? So, Stephen, have you ever experienced the mentality of a gatekeeper in your field when you're making your independent films? When you've even tried to have any type of commission or commercial deals, have you found any one of our own people from our community that looks to block your progress?
Before I answer that, I'd rather give an overview of everything still so people understand.
Go ahead.
Why I say, can you hear me clearly, yeah?
Yeah.
Why I say what I say. I'd rather she talks on one aspect of gatekeeping. So I won't focus on that aspect, but what I will focus on as individuals here, I want to actually take what I'm saying to you and visualize yourself in your greatness. For me, I don't even worry about those who try to stand before me or try to stop me. That's happened to me various times. I've had an offer from a major production company, but it didn't bother me. I've gone on to do, as Trevor Hakim mentioned, on my own platform. I've made documentaries. I've made over 21 documentaries, traveled all over the world making my own films independently. But when I started out, people said it can't be done. But am I to actually worry about who said it cannot be done? Or am I to look at the greatness in me and say what I can do? That's the first thing we have to acknowledge as individuals. Forget about the gatekeepers. We know there's gatekeepers here. But are the gatekeepers going to predestinate or stop my destiny? Or am I going to be the one that's going to open a new door? Create a door. Do something that they can't stop me, or that they, no matter how they try. let me just be open, I spent 8 years in prison in Jamaica. Came back to the UK, decided I want to be a filmmaker. I decided that. I want to project the truth that I know. So I worked, invested my own money in myself, but again, I have to believe in me. A gatekeeper can only really stop you because it's an illusion. Because there's many gates in it, there's many doors to open. But the thing is, are you going to allow somebody else to determine your future, your outcomes? When people said I couldn't do the filmmaking thing, I was like, cool, no problem. But I did it. And my first documentary had 400,000 views on YouTube. And that's 12 years ago. And just recently, they did almost 800-something views on Amazon Prime. And that's a 12-year-old documentary, bear that in mind. The part I'm trying to make understand is,
I'm sorry, Steve, your most recent documentary, how many views did it
oh,
get now?
my recent documentary done at 1.8 million views on Amazon. But the part I'm making is, nothing, despite people that I couldn't do, and I even turned down contract, like I said, mainstream media. We had an opportunity to do work with them like 7-8 years ago, but same documentary, which they offered me a certain amount of funds. But to be honest with you, over the years, what I've accumulated and what happened recently, that same documentary I done 12 years ago, I still own my IP, and I made almost the same amount of money they would have given me, which would have given them the control of my IP. The part I'm making is, gatekeepers, no gatekeepers, house Negroes, field Negroes. The key is what kind of, because we use the term Negro, what kind of Negro are you? What kind of person are you? That's what I always ask myself. Who am I? What am I? And who can really stop me? If I believe in me. That's just my answer for you guys.
Thank you for that, Stephen. Thank you. Fidel, as a creative writer, someone that's working with actors and performers, same question to yourself, sir. Have you ever experienced that, or do you know anyone else that's experienced that? You know of their narrative, you know of their story?
I can't say personally I've experienced any gatekeepers preventing me on my writing journey. In terms of my work, working with young people, I've come across gatekeepers. It felt like, it felt like it was a white space. It was a school I was working in, and it was a very white space. And my immediate line manager was black. It felt like they were suffering, you know. I try and understand a little bit about why people do what they do in order to some degree make myself feel better when I feel they've hurt me. It's worse, you know. I mean, to be fair, I feel like the brother there was saying, you know, there are gatekeepers all the time, and you've got to be able to navigate whether somebody's house Negro or field Negro. Like the brother here was saying, we've got to understand what we are, right, our journey. It's a confusing time, you know. You've got people like Kemi Badenoch saying, you know, or looking for votes under the banner of Kemi for Nigerians. Yeah, at the same time, or soon afterwards, she'll be talking about banning books on critical race theory and denigrating, you know, people who want to educate school children on black history. So it's a really confusing time. I think there's not much more I think I can add to what this brother here said and what the brother there said. You've got to kind of know who you are. You've got to understand what you want. If you hear stories about gatekeepers, you've got to understand that those kind of people are out there, but not to let them block your path forward. If you can navigate your goal, if you know what you need to generate in yourself, what you need to execute in yourself in your daily plan, then you can make it happen. We live in a really, really supportive time with social media. You know, there's support groups for people who struggle with mental health. There's creative groups for people of all ages, particularly in the black community. You know, we like the social media. So yeah, there are horror stories, right? There are difficult stories about gatekeepers, but you know, we are, if you like, a community and support ourselves through that.
We don't go to solutions yet. Hold
Okay,
on now.
okay.
We'll get there. We'll travel there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not much more I can add to what these two brothers have said, other than really being confident about the path you want to go down and knowing yourself what you need to maintain, the disciplines you need to maintain. And if you need help, don't be afraid to ask. You know, there are gatekeepers, but there are also, you know, supporters. There are also allies, you know, in this. So, you know, whatever field you're in the context of film and TV and documentary. Yeah. So don't be afraid to ask for help.
Okay. Thank you for that. Over to yourselves. Have we got any question over there, brother? Go ahead.
Not so much of a question, but like a piggybacking off everything that's been kind of said.
So is there a mic? There. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
I was saying not so much of a question, but kind of a piggybacking off of what I've been sitting here and hearing so far. Obviously, I'm not British, I'm American, and I've kind of been in the industry for quite some time since graduating from film school some years ago. And I feel like this question is very much like targeted directly at something I've experienced quite a bit in my journey.
Okay.
And I would change Negro to friend or foe, because I feel like I've come across a lot of individuals who I question are friends or foes, and it starts with the professors I've had. And like when I first started film school, I had a professor come to me so ecstatic, this kind of like hippie surfer white dude, who I respect the hell out of him, but he was also, when he first came, he was like, oh, you're perfectly coming into the industry at the right time, and blah, 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 because like, with the black experience, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, but I don't really write a lot of black experience stuff. My influences have always been like Stanley Kubrick, Alfred Hitchcock, Spielberg. Those are the films that I wrote in my life as a kid and was inspired to be. But here's this professor putting me in the Spike Lee box. And it was kind of like, that's what my first experience is. Is this a friend or is this a foe? Am I just going to be put into a box that I got to constantly try to navigate out of? And move fast forward, and I ended up in LA, and I fell into the post-production world. I've kind of been there for years now. But in the post-production world, I just see a small sprinkle of black people in it. Whether it be post-production houses, whether it be people who are supervisors, whether it be heads of post-production, and I'm just starting. So I've never been one to want to hang my hat on race. I've always been like, nope, I'm going to do this despite any all that.
Sorry, can I just jump in here? So how much more do you think it was a stress or a strain or a challenge that you may have had to navigate more because someone's putting stereotypes on you that even your ally wouldn't get?
I would say, and when it started, not so much of a stress. Currently, since like the explosion of like the social media world and all that kind of stuff, it's been a lot more stressful now, because now we've become so much more divided based on stereotypes to a point where it's like exhausting. I moved over here from New York, and I literally, I tell people when I was living in New York, I was like, I never felt my race the most until I hit New York. Because I'm living in Brooklyn, and it's like everyone's trying to think they're this black or that black or this, but it was just getting so frustrating. You got like white people trying to come into this own of, I say the liberal right agenda. I'm gonna say it like that, because that's how I talk with people. And I'm like, arguing with people about the N-word, if it should be used this way or that way, and I'm like, what is this? I'm just trying to be an artist, and I'm just trying to like do my stories and stuff like that. So I think now it's become more of a stress, because now I've reached this point in myself where like I have the experience. I've been in this world, this business for a while now. I want to climb the next layer of this ladder, and I'm finding myself having more and more like struggle to climb the next layer of that ladder, despite the experience, like years of freaking experience and everything that I've done. I have to like trivialize it based on my race, whether I'm part of the LGBTQ community, all these different things that just stand in the way of just like, where's the experience, where's the know-how? And it just gets really frustrating to like navigate in that box. So
thank you for that. In fact, one of your points, there's going to be a part of this discussion that I think is going to relate to you even more so. Do we have any other statements or questions real quick? Do I see a hand over here? So show that back. Please feel free. You're amongst family. Yeah.
Hi there.
Go ahead.
Just carrying on from the social media point and just the current landscape, I just think it's difficult to spot house Negroes or gatekeepers now, because we are so financially challenged and also politically divided as well. And we've never been in a position like this, not in my 58 years of life anyway, to actually have seen this amount of division. We've had division before politically, But to see this level of division where you almost feel that you have to pick a side and you can't speak to the other side. So that's gonna, I was just saying that's just gonna be a bit of a challenge. I'm just wondering whether any of the panel, what the panel think about our political landscape at the moment.
In fact, regarding that point with division, can you hold on to that, because there's something else I want to play that speaks into what you said and what the brother said regarding that aspect of division. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
All right. So before I move it on, or before I hand it back over to the panelists, do you want to come back on any of those points?
No, I'm all right for now.
Stephen, did you want to come back on any of those points? What the brother was saying earlier about navigating and having to deal with stereotypes.
No.
Okay. Any other points or questions for the audience? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, obviously, on what my friend said over here.
Just a quick question to all of you guys, maybe if you would answer this, about the gatekeepers. My belief system about the gatekeepers, I believe some of them don't even know that they're gatekeepers themselves. Some of them have been told, you can't, and it's the standard thing between each other.
Right.
So sometimes, you know, I'm going to do a filmmaker, well, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it type of things there. So that is kind of my kind of view. Some people purposely do it, some people kind of might be on, I'm saying, what's your kind of view on that type of thing, on subconscious?
I'm part of a group called Ominera Writers. We meet every fortnight, so just a public service announcement. We meet every 2 Fridays in London. We have a check-in, then we go into writing exercises. If someone's brought a bit of writing, we discuss that. In the check-in, we try and have people discuss those kind of concerns that they have, whether it's something happening in the week or something in the general social society that's going on. It creates a community, right? We're all here, we've all made an effort to come here, talk to each other. Of course, to people we can navigate. I'm not saying we don't do that, but you know, I'm just, I suppose, us, you know, talking about maintaining good practice. And it is just, come back to that last point, I can briefly, it is a really divided time. It's hard to know what kind of people you can trust. You know, you've got people like Kanye West saying comments each side of his mouth. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's difficult, but, you know, division is a reality of life, but also communication is as well, and you've got to be able to have the confidence, I think, to have conversations with people, to start conversations with people. You know, through that, you get understanding, through that you can get allegiances.
And this is the reason why I come here. Some people come here and they say, oh, well, I'm going to come here and meet somebody who's going to invest in my business and these type of things. And my thing is I've come here to kind of meet people to work with, to kind of build with. Because most people at the top, they're not really trying to build with nobody. They've already got their friends, they've got their money. A lot of them at the top got there because they're kind of mean. That's the reason why they've got there. So my view is you build a team and you build up from the ground up and them type of things there. You don't really kind of worry about everybody. Everything is people power, even though it could be bots sometimes, but a lot of the time I believe it's people power kind of thing.
I agree.
Thank you for that. Is it okay if I move it on? Yeah? Okay. Dealing with the point of division. Because as the brother said, look, we're living in a time where it seems like with what's going on politically, culturally, the division is something that's just magnifying a level of what we can consider to be a social weakness that divides us even more. But then I think, can't we have unity in our diversity? Isn't that a greater strength? So, when you may have heard of the terminology of foundation, Black Americans versus now Africans that have immigrated into America, we can see a similar mentality that has arisen here. I don't know whether some of you have seen clips that goes around on social media where you may have a black person that's born here arguing on a bus with another person of colour or a person that's come from the continent saying, this is my country. Well, go back to your own country, and there's 2 black people that are saying that. I know, crazy, right?
I'll give you an example. Two previous home office. Yeah.
Okay. Right, okay. And now, putting that in a TV and film media context, Are some of you aware that over the last couple of years, there's been this whole division, talk of African Americans saying that why are black British people coming over here and stealing our roles? Okay, right, okay.
Yes, I've had that conversation.
Okay, right. And look, as much as and this is not me throwing shade, I love Brother Sam. I love Brother Sam. I love his talent. But he was one of the loudest voices that expressed that. So I'm going to show you two clips. One clip is where he had to kind of pedal back because he was getting a lot of backlash. And I want you to just listen to the way of what he said and then what he had to pedal back on. And then on the second clip, he says something I found very interesting. But we'll get into that, is all right? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be dealing with this now. Crabs in a barrel versus, are you familiar with Ujima? It's a Swahili term. Are you familiar with Kwanzaa? All right, so you've got the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. If you're not familiar with it, please get to know about it. Like one of the first principles is Umoja unity. Another principle is Ujima, collective work and responsibility. So, you're all familiar with the crabs in the barrel mentality. I don't have to break that down to you, do I? Good. So then we've got to ask ourselves, crabs in the barrel mentality versus collective work and responsibility. Which one are we going to go with?
Samuel L. Jackson clarifies comments he made about casting black British actors in African American roles.
There are a lot of black British actors that work
All the time.
all the time. So I tend to wonder what would that movie have been with an American brother who really understands that in a way.
You actually take a snippet of what somebody says and you make a headline out of it. You listen to the conversation, it turns to another thing, I totally respect and love all those UK guys that come over here and work. And I understand that coming here gives them a unique opportunity to advance their careers and hopefully go back home and create opportunities for their friends and other guys and let them know that they can come here and they can succeed.
Do they know, like, should they be blamed for one or you don't?
As far as, you talking about Get Out, I've known Daniel for a very long time. I knew Daniel when he was a young writer, actor in the UK. I had literally introduced him to his agent. So I'm looking forward to y'all coming over here. Hopefully I'll run into you on set somewhere, we can talk it out, we can work it out. And, it's all good. I don't know if I was misunderstood. I say things, I just tend to talk, and when I speak about actors from the UK coming to America to work, I understand they have a greater facility for doing that, number one, because they can come here and they can adapt U.S. accents, and they work very well, and they work very hard, and they're very competent workers. We're not afforded that same luxury, but that's fine. We have plenty of opportunities here to work. And for them to come here, it gives them a greater platform and a greater opportunity to succeed and hopefully go home and create opportunities for their country. So I enjoy watching British actors coming here. I enjoy their work. I enjoy working with them when I have the opportunity to do that. So it was not a slam against them. It was just a comment about how Hollywood works in an interesting sort of way sometimes.
So, I found that to be very interesting, especially in the last clip. Let me just have a little quiz with you. Anyone, can you name who the actor is, the black actor, top right-hand corner? Okay. Who wants to name the film that he started? Oh, bro, in the back.
Crying Game.
Crying Game, I'm going to stick with you, bro. Picture below.
Queen and Country.
Go ahead.
Denzel Washington. And Ocean's 11.
Starring.
Don Cheadle.
Oh, see, he was just about going to earn a free t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right. Why have I got those pictures up?
Is that the only American actor that's seen that anyone knows?
Nope.
They playing British films.
No.
They've starred in British films, but as African Americans?
No,
No. They starred in British films. Well, remember, Ocean's 11 was even a British film. Don Cheadle starred as a Cockney, and I haven't heard that Cockney accent that bad since Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. He didn't even have to leave America to play a black British person. He stayed in America. Denzel Washington, Queen and Country, in the very early 90s, that film came out. Yeah. Played an African-Caribbean British soldier. And then we've got Forrest Whitaker also played a black British soldier. But Samuel Jackson said, but we're not afforded the same opportunities. So I found that kind of strange. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a lot of production, American productions happening in the UK now. So I wonder if he's referring to that. So they are casting from the UK because it is just generally cheaper.
It could be. Because he did mention that in the first podcast that we saw when he was on Hot 97, one of the comments that he made was, that the reason why a lot of black British actors are getting our roles in America is because they're cheaper to hire.
Yeah, and they just shoot in here as well now. So they're not bringing people over.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So
My brother from the States.
I'm American and I actually started out in acting, but I would say I understand exactly where Samuel Jackson is coming from because I have thought about this and had conversations about this with British people as well as American people in regards to the fact that there's a lot of British people in general, not only just white and black, not only just black but white as well, come to the States to play American actors, and why is that not vice versa? I feel like for the black community, especially for acting wise and arts as a whole, is not lucratively available in the black communities in America. You have to really go out your way, you have to stand outside the box, you have to have generally some white person guiding you to some things like I had when I was growing up in this world with this stuff. And I feel like arts, theater, and stuff like that, and the British side is a far more available avenue for many people over here. And I think that in American productions tend to have a perception that black and British is classier than American and black. I mean, if you just look at the industry as a whole now, unfortunately, this cat's going through a lot to just try to get his name back.
But then doesn't that, sorry to cut, because then doesn't that feed in though to another stereotype that even you said you had to navigate? Because again, Samuel Jackson, that was another comment that he made. He said that perhaps another reason why black people from Britain are being employed is because, they speak in that Shakespearean way and
100%.
And so sometimes do you think that there's that stereotype that Americans still think that everyone in Britain wears bowler hats and speaks the so-called King's English?
I think that in America, black is taught to be victimized. And we think in a very victimized way, especially in our communities. So we feel like we can't stand above ground and do our own things. So therefore, it festers in everything that we do, not only in our politics, not only in our arts, not only in our sports. We only have that veil over our faces. Okay. So what I was going to say was, in regards to that I feel like, yes, it is another stereotype that we have to navigate through, but it's not any more difficult than any other things we've had to navigate through.
Okay.
We just got to do it.
Okay.
And yeah, so
okay.
Lost my train of thought when you interrupted me.
No, because I had to move on because we've got a very limited time.
Yeah, right on.
So what I want to throw out to you all is this point, and please feedback before we close it up. When I hear these type of arguments, I think back and I think to myself, I can't remember the last time I would hear Jude Law criticizing and speaking out against Robert Downey Jr., saying, well, why are you coming over here playing a white British person? Or Gwyneth Paltrow, criticizing a white British actress, well, why are you playing a white female American? They seem to celebrate each other, even if they get the accents wrong. They elevate each other. They don't seem to put each other down. They seem to share their talent. So why can't we do the same? That's for you. Why can't we do the same?
It happened with Superman and Henry Cavill. It happened with Christian Bale and Batman.
No. Well, I hear you. That's right. I want to hear from someone else. Why can't we do the same? Especially, I want to hear from a black person from here in the UK. Why can't we do the same?
Could it also be that the scope is so much smaller over here for black actors here and the UK as opposed to white actors here in the UK? And I mean that in the sense of that the accessibility is greater for white people than it is for black people. So there's almost a scrambling for that space. Could it be?
I think so, yeah. Some people could say it's almost like a crabs in the barrel mentality. So yeah, no, I agree.
So then okay, so way forward, what's the solution to that? Because if we've highlighted some of the problems, there has to be a way forward, because we can't just always focus on the cause, we can't just always focus on the effects. Surely we also have to focus on the solution, right?
Yeah.
So what's the way forward? What's the solutions?
More Tyler Perry.
More Tyler Perry. Just maybe you need to kind of explain that answer just a little bit more for people. What do you mean by more Tyler Perry?
I just mean black-owned, black production companies,
Okay.
black films, but better quality films as well.
Okay.
That's how I qualify.
Beautiful. Way forward, people. I mean, look, you're all here, you've all made an effort to come to Expo. Surely you've come here for a purpose. Surely you've come here for a reason. What's the way forward?
I mean, just to follow on from the Tyler Perry thing, we do need to become a bit more, we have to have collective think, and we do have to be a bit more corporate with the way we do things.
Right.
So, and just following on from the film examples, I can guarantee that The Crying Game and Queen and Country most probably had American money. We need to start now, either finding better investors or global investors and just push it a bit more. It's always about the money. Always about the money.
Empowering economics. Go ahead, sir. So we've got someone in the front here.
Thanks. I'm all with my brother here. The body action, everything that he said. I think that we need to, it's okay having discussions like this. For me personally, I think, we always need to leave on a personal note. We can have terminology such as House Negro, Field Negro, etc. But we have to be aware of our humanity and the human experience and how the human reacts in certain situations and how certain things conjure certain things up. And for me, it's just a matter of being a positive human. Being your own gatekeeper to a certain extent, to as much as you can be your own gatekeeper and be an example to others and pull each other up. If I'm looking at someone and then I might say you're my black brother, but I still acknowledge that actually you can be the one pulling me down, just as you can be the one pulling me up. And I don't focus so much on monolithics, but to focus on yourself and getting yourself in the right place where you can put your foot forward, because no one's going to walk for you, is the best way to achieve what you need to achieve.
Thank you.
Is the next thing I want to add to that still, we also have to have vision. And not every vision has to come with a price. When I say that, I mean you may not have much money, but you meet somebody who's got a camera. You're good at social media. Say one person's good at social media. Next man's got a camera. You have a person willing to give time to hold the boom. Then you find somebody who got a few actors. You've already got most of the things you need. Yeah, you might need money for props and certain little things you need. But you've got a lot there. We don't realize that we're powering ourselves. But again, back to what I said originally, we're not seeing the power of ourselves. And I think that's so important. I've made, like I said, over 21 documentaries. And I'm not a millionaire, far from it. And some of the documentaries I've made, some of the quality of them is crazy. I'm really proud of my work. But it wasn't always the amount of money I had. Sometimes it was having the right people around me. It wasn't having a bag of money to make certain things happen. It was just sometimes the right people.
So moving the same people, the same mentality,
Yeah,
same mission,
yeah, people have
same
mission,
objective.
and people
Right,
have
okay.
that long-term vision because
Okay.
you know it's not always about. A lot of us want that quick, now, because society and we live in the social media aspect of life. But it's not always about how much you want now. I know they watched the Wu-Tang Saga and seen how they give themselves a couple of years to get what they want to get, and they achieve that. That's the thing. You need to have that mentality. That promise. Even our forefathers always did things with intentions. Malcolm X spoke with intention. Martin Luther King. All the people spoke with intention, but we don't realize that we got to speak with intention and also have that vision to go forward. We want it now, and I feel that's a reason why we might say that Cameron Bell mentality is very active. But if we just believe in ourselves and take that moment in time, I think what have I got right now, and who around me or who out there on social media can I just pick and say, right, who's got a camera or who wants to act and do it? You don't know who's gonna feed back to you.
Okay.
Simple. It's not hard to make it out to be. We just don't believe in ourselves.
Thank you, Stephen, for that way forward. Please get a round of applause. Fidel, closing remarks, way forward.
Yeah, talk to people, you know. The networking spaces at the end of the days here, you know, talk to people. Let people know what kind of work you're doing in the film industry or what you like to do in the film industry. Don't ever lose faith in the idea which motivates you. If you're motivated by an idea, there's something in that idea worth working towards, right? Whether you get criticism for it, it's always about the execution. It's always about being open to making that idea better or making the way you express that idea better. And yeah, like, you know, be discriminating. There are house Negroes, field Negroes, but we also got house Negro and field Negro in ourselves. So, like the brother there said, we've got to be reflective about how we are, as well as, you know, cautious and discriminating about how we move amongst people. But yeah, we are that community at this moment, I see, that we're looking to see on the screen, that we're looking to build together with. So, you know, be confident, you know, be courageous, be cautious. You know, I think we all have it together.
Thank you for that. Give you a round of applause. So, to finish up, you're actually living, breathing, manifesting in the presence of the solution right now. You've actually become part of the solution. This expo started with a word. It started with an idea. That's all it was. Of a conversation between two people that shared the same vision, shared the same purpose, shared the same spirit and mentality, and said, let's manifest it. Have you ever experienced a black film and TV and media expo like this before in London? No, speak up. Tell us. No, right. No people that were born in the media created this. No people that was born with a silver spoon in their mouth created this. It was people that had a vision and a purpose, and they wanted to come together collectively to share that, to empower themselves and everybody else. So that's a manifestation that we can do it, because you've been a part of that. I'm one of those people. I'm speaking of a Sister Priscilla. Yeah, you have to come up. No, you have to come up. She hates doing it. But I'm a person, I love to give people their flowers while they're alive, not when they've gone. Because I've lost someone recently. There was a tremendous soldier in our community, a brother called Twilight Bay. There was originally from South Central Los Angeles. And he was actually invited over here just to give a lecture, just to give a talk. But he saw our condition in Manchester, Moss Side, in Birmingham, in Lambeth and in Newham. And he said, look, I can't just come and get paid to give a talk. I've got to come now and do the work. Because you know, sometimes we have people that come over and give talks like it's a concert and then they go back. He didn't do that, and he stayed committed to that work. And that brother never had enough of his flowers when he was alive, and he passed away still delivering that work in one of the most notorious prisons in London, Wandsworth Prison. So he passed while he was actually still dealing with hardcore knuckleheads. So I'm a person now, I have to give flowers when a person's alive. So you're looking at the solution right in front of you, and she mirrors who you are. So please give Priscilla a round of applause, because this is her prototype. And give yourselves a round of applause, because you could have been anywhere else today, and then she decided to come here and be about that work. Have I got that wrong? Are you about that work? So make sure you use the rest of the day to support each other and network with each other and find out how you can get involved with the new Black Film Collective. What's the last word in the name of that company? Begins with a C. Are we going to be about that?
Yeah.
No? I need to take you to church before Are we going to be about that, people? Yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Don't make a lie out of me and you. Manifest that word, make it flesh. Yes? Thank you for your time. I've been Trevor Hakim. This has been community question time, provocation, and I hope that you support this so we can grow bigger for next year. Thank you.